Hey there, and welcome back. So, it's Easter, and I've made a small game here that's very appropriate for the season. So, this is my little Easter game about the little chicken called Chicky, and he's going out on an Easter egg hunt. So, the point about this episode is to show you how you can include Easter eggs and secrets in your game. Now, I'm using the term Easter eggs very loosely here, but the point is that just by doing some simple tricks, we can actually make our games just a little more maybe interesting. So, we're not going to be doing any hardcore programming in this episode. Mostly, this is about giving you some ideas on how you can do this. So we're gonna start with me doing a quick playthrough here, where I'll just quickly explain what's going on, and afterwards we're gonna take a look at how I did the different things. So let's just start up this game here. And I've turned off the sound so it won't compete with my voice. So anyway, here we have the start screen. Chicky's Easter egg hunt. So I'm gonna press start, and here we have my little hero, Chicky. And up here we have another character. So this is a top-down game, and whenever I make games like this, I really like to have diagonal movement. If I don't have diagonal movement, it feels really stiff for me. So even the original Legend of Zelda, you could only walk up, down, left and right, but I really like diagonal movements. So we're gonna take a quick look at that later on. But anyway, here we have our little guy. So let's talk to this bunny up here. Hello, I'm the Easter Bunny. Can you help me find my eggs? If you find 21 eggs, then please meet me down by the frozen pond. Right, so we have our mission. Collect 21 Easter eggs and then meet this guy down by the frozen pond. So, if we take a quick look at the HUD up here, we have a score. Doesn't really have too much use in this game, but we can get a few points. But anyway, we have our health here. This is the indicator for how many Easter eggs I have collected, and this is the snowball counter, because we can actually throw snowballs as well. So let's go to the next screen here. And here we have a little fox running around, which is obviously a monster, so he can hurt us, as you can see. But if I collect this snowball up here, then I can hurt him as well. So he turned into snow, but he shakes the snow off and he continues to run around. And here we have some spikes, just some simple spikes like that. Now, this game is all about Easter eggs and secrets. So now we're going to take a look at the first secret. I don't know if this is an Easter egg, but it's a little secret here. So I have this large tree down here, and there's nothing special about it right now that we can see. But if I go down here beneath the tree, then I suddenly am inside here. So this is just a trick that's a really simple trick. I'm just using a normal warp tile, and same as I'm going outside, it's just a warp tile to get here. But it's just a simple yet effective way of doing it. Now I'm going to I went back into the tree, and now we can see that I don't have these eggs here anymore. Instead of these eggs, now I have a chocolate bunny here. So that's another simple trick where we can do things like that. And in this case, of course, I triggered the screen. So in the last time I was inside the tree, I collected these eggs, and for every egg I collected, I triggered this screen, which means that we have to be careful with doing stuff like this, because actually when I collected the first egg down here, I triggered the screen. So if I had collected just one egg and then left the tree and came back, then the other eggs that I didn't collect would be gone. So that's just something to keep in mind when we're designing games like this, that if you trigger something on a pickup object, then it's going to, and you want to have several of those pickup objects, then the screen is going to be triggered by the time you collect the first one. And another thing, now that screen is triggered, so every time I go back, there's this Easter bunny, the chocolate Easter bunny. So basically I can go back and forth and farm Easter bunny or farm points now. So that's another thing to keep in mind when using triggered screens for tricks like this, that we have to be aware of how that works. And in this case, maybe it wasn't the best way to do it. But anyway, I just wanted to show you. And I think it's just a fun little trick that you can just go inside the tree, and yeah, it's just a little fun secret. So let's continue on here. Then we have 2 more foxes here, and really nothing special. Yeah, same thing here. Just collect the eggs. Then we have this snowman. That's just a solid tile, just for decoration. But then we get to here. Now, the fox over here has already revealed the secret. So hey, can you come out of there? Come on. Come on. Alright. So, basically, this is another very simple trick, very obvious trick. I just made a hole here in the wall, and just by using a slightly different tile to indicate that there's something going on here. And of course, it's just that I can go through the wall like that. And here we have another guy. So let's talk to him. Hello, my son. Walk into the middle of the pond and you will be healed. Alright. So, I have lost a lot of health. So let's walk into the pond now. And now I have full health. So that's great. Again, this is just a really simple trick. It's not even a trick really. But it's, again, like I said, everything we're going to look at today is just to give you some ideas on how you can make secrets. Now this is actually a trick that even Zelda 2 used. And there's a castle in Zelda 2 where you can just walk through a wall. So this is basically the same principle. Alright, so now let's just continue on here and collect these eggs down here. I'm gonna shoot this guy. And let's go over here now. See if we can get past this guy. Yeah. Right. So, whoa. So now, when I get down here, first of all, there's a simple pickup object down here. It's just some berries. And that's a simple pickup object, nothing special. Just give me 1 unit of health. But we have this owl up here. So let's talk to him. Hoot hoot. Look for openings in the ice walls. Well, we already did that. But it can be nice to have NPCs give you hints like that. Obviously, you probably know that already. Don't need me to tell you that. But it's just it's a fun thing to have. So anyway, let's go over here now. And again, this fox down here already revealed the secret. But as you can see, there's a wall down here that we can walk through. So let's do that. So here we have 3 eggs. Gonna collect the eggs, leave, but I'm gonna go back there. And this time, instead of eggs, we have this snowman. So let's talk to him. Hee, you found me. Have you found any chocolate Easter bunnies? Yes, we have. So again, this is just a simple trick using triggered screens. So when I collected the eggs, or by the time I collected the first egg actually, we triggered the screen, and when we went back, this is the triggered screen. So now we have 16 eggs. Let's collect the last ones. Let's go over here now. So another snowman. That's just a solid tile. And whoa, okay. Let me just pick up these berries and move on. So now I get to here. Now if I go down here now, this is the frozen pond that the Easter bunny was talking about. But right now, there's nothing here. I have 18 eggs. He told me to collect 21 eggs. So let's see if we can find the last eggs. So I'm gonna pick up this one. 19, 20, and there's the last one. So I'm gonna pick up that one. And now I have 21 eggs. So I'm gonna, whoa, right. So I'm gonna go down here now, and there he is. There's the Easter bunny. Now I have 21 eggs, so I can talk to this guy. Oops. Yay, you did it. Nice work. Now come with me. And we won the game. Congrats. I'll make you a nice Easter dinner. So basically that's the game. So as you can see, there's nothing special here. There's no I'm using a lot of default things in NESmaker, like a simple warp tile or just triggering the screen. But I found that when I'm busy making games, it's hard to forget all of these simple things, that these simple things exist, and that we can use those simple things to make secrets like this. So now we have seen the game. Now let's take a look at how I did the different things. So if we start at the first screen here, there's really nothing special. If you watched Joe's official tutorials, you know how to set up an NPC character. Now, the thing about this is that the screen here, I didn't show you this, but once I collected 21 eggs, this screen actually triggers as well. Which means that if I had gone back here after collecting 21 eggs, then I would have seen this. Just a chocolate Easter bunny instead. So again, it's just a little secret. If I bother going all the way back to the beginning, I would have seen this guy. And like I said, I'm just using the simple trick by triggering screens like that. But when you're triggering screens, you have to remember, again, this is all default NESmaker stuff, but when we're triggering screens, we have to remember, if I go to screen info up here, we have to remember that every screen has this little number here called screen type. So when I, in my code, say trigger screen type, it's going to trigger every single screen with this screen type, which is 0 in this case. So let's say I had something here that triggered the screen for this screen type 0. Well, that would trigger every screen with screen type 0. Now in this case, I only have 2 screens with screen type 0. And screen type 0 is triggered when I collect 21 eggs, which means this top one here, this one is triggered because it's screen type 0. But the other one is this screen over here. This is also screen type 0, which means that if I had gone back here after collecting 21 eggs, then I would have seen this. So there would have been a chocolate bunny here as well. So Just a simple thing, triggering screens like that. Now, how did I trigger those screens when I collected 21 eggs? Well, let's take a quick look at that actually. Because what are those eggs? They're not tiles. They're actually simple simple game objects that I have set up as pickup objects. So I can pick up these objects. Now that in and of itself doesn't really do anything. So we have to write a little bit of code in the pickup script. So let's go to our project settings, script settings, and let's go down to our pickup script here under game. So pickup script and edit. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So the way the pickup script works is that we have to know the object number. And of course, as I'm sure you know, we start counting from 0 here. So the player object is object 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this Easter egg is game object 7. Which means that here in my pickup script, I am checking for what what object number the different pickup objects are. So I'm checking for object 4. No, it's not 4, 5, no, 6, no, 7, yes. It is game object 7. So if it is 7, we go to this pickup. So what does this thing do? Well, I'm using the macro called add value. Now add value just adds something to usually you use this macro when you have something like a score or something like that in your game, where you have multiple variables that you need to add something to. So in this case, I made some variables called my eggs, and those are 2 digits. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go back to NESmaker, project settings, and user variables. So here I made 2 variables, 2 user variables for my eggs. And that's because I have 2 digits. Because I have more than 9 eggs. If I only had 9 eggs, I could have used 1 variable. But in this case, I have 21 eggs. So I need to display a number up to 21 here. So I made 2 variables like that. And when I'm doing that, I should really use this add value macro. Now it's a little not complicated, but let's not spend any time on looking at how that macro works. The comment for the macro explains this quite well. But anyway, this Easter egg, I'm collecting an Easter egg, and I add 1 Easter egg to that counting system. So pick up an Easter egg and I add 1 to there. Then of course I need to update the HUD element. Since I'm not using a sprite HUD now, I need to use this macro, update HUD element. And remember, we need to make sure that we're updating the correct HUD element. So in this case, I'm updating HUD element 1, which is this one, my eggs. So this counter right here. That's what I'm updating, that HUD element. Now if I update the wrong HUD element, let's say I tried to update something where I have maybe some text, for example, that would actually crash the game. So you have to be very careful that we're updating the correct HUD element when we have a HUD like that. So I'm adding 1 egg, updating the HUD so we can see it instantly that it's being updated, and here we go. Finally, here I trigger the screen. So I use this macro called trigger screen, And what we usually do when we're using that, we say trigger screen type, which is going to trigger every screen with that specific screen type. Yeah, and then I just play a sound here. Also, I'll do something else here as well. So, like I said, this my eggs thing, those are two variables. So, just 1 second, I need to plug in the power. Okay, sorry about that. Right, so what I was going to say was that another thing I do here is that since I have these two variables that keeps track of how many Easter eggs I have collected, what I want to do is to check when I've collected 21 of those eggs. Now I can't just load one variable into the accumulator and compare with 21 or something like that. Since I have two variables, I need to check both. So, how do I do that? Well, I say first of all, and this actually, sorry, I made a mistake here. I made a mistake when I named these variables. This is supposed to keep track of the tens, the number in the tens place. So 10, 20, so on. And this other variable is supposed to keep track of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So I've renamed these variables maybe opposite of how you would expect them to be. But anyway, this first one keeps track of the tens place. So I load whatever's in there and I compare it with 2, which is 2 for 20, right? So if it is 20, then I continue on. But if it's not 20, then we say not enough eggs, so we just go down here. We're only interested in checking the number 21. So I check the tens place. Is that 2? Do we have 20 eggs? Well, if we do, then we need to check the last one, which is the other my eggs variable that keeps track of the ones place. So 21. So if it's 20, we go down here and then we check, is this other variable 1? 21. Well, if it's not, if it's 0, then we just go down here. But if it is 1, then that means I have 21 eggs. So I trigger screen 14, which is the pond screen, to make the Easter Bunny appear. I also trigger screen 0, which will remove the Easter Bunny from the first screen. And this will also affect the other screen with the green grass and the pond that we looked at. So I triggered those two screens if I have 21 eggs. So basically that's how I do that. And all of this, like I said, is happening in the pickup script. Alright. So, then I have this little fox guy. Now this isn't a secret, but let's look at it anyway. So, as you could see, he's running around 8 directions, nothing special really. But when I shoot him, he didn't just disappear. He didn't even just explode or something like that. He got covered in snow, his eyes were blinking like that, and after a short while he just shakes off the snow and continue running around. Now that's not default NESmaker behavior. So how do I do that? Well, there are a couple of things we need to do. First of all, what happens when a player weapon hits a monster? Well, in that, to check that, we have to go to project settings, script settings, go all the way down to where we have, let's see, object collisions. Yeah, that's the one I have selected. Right, so I'm gonna take a look at object collisions here. So, what happens in here, if I go down to Let's see where we have the player weapon collide with the monster. Now here we say handle. What happens is that we run handle monster hurt. Okay, that means we have to go to handle monster, the handle monster hurt script that's there. So let's take a look at that one. So normally you would check, subtract 1 from health. Is health 0? If health is 0 for the monster, destroy it or whatever. That would be somewhat a normal behavior. But what I do here, I just change action step to 7, which would be normal, play a sound, and I add something to the score. So every time you shoot a snowball at a fox, you get 10 points. And I update the HUD element for the score for that. Then I simply say, that's it, I'm done. So after changing the action step to 7, playing the sound and the score and that, I just say, I'm done. So I'm jumping all the way at the bottom to the bottom of the hurt monster script. So I'm skipping all of this other code. Now I could actually have just deleted that code, but just to make it simple for myself, I say that's it. I'm jumping past all of that other code, which means I'm not checking for enemy health. I'm not doing any of that. So I'm just changing the action step for the fox to action step 7. Let's go to the fox and let's take a look at him. So here, there we have the fox. What does his action step 7 do? Well, first of all, I changed to the animation called hurt, which is this one, where he just blinks. So I changed to that animation. But, and I also stop his movement. So he's gonna stop moving, so blink his eyes for 8 time units here. When that's done, end of action, I say go to previous, which means go to the previous action step. And in this case, that's action step 6. So then I go to this action step. And what happens here? Well, here I play another animation that I made called shake, which is where he just shakes the snow off. Nothing's gonna happen. It's not gonna do any action. So it's gonna do nothing for 4 time units. It's just gonna stand there shaking that off. When that's done, then I say end of action, go to first. So then I go back to first, and he just behaves like normal. So to make that effect where he's covered in snow and then shaking the snow off, I use 2 action steps for that and 2 different animation types. So it's not anything super special, but I just wanted to show you, maybe give you some idea how we can do something like that. Alright, let's continue on here. So that's the fox. Then, yeah, we have another fox. And then, of course, like I said, this sort of thing is really obvious. We don't need to talk too much about it, but it's just an example how with just doing something really simple like this, creating a crack in the wall, you can make a little secret. In this case, maybe it was a little too obvious, but it's nice to give a little visual cue that there's something in there. So if we go through the wall, we get to this room. Now, again, nothing special. This is an NPC. But what about this pond? Well, if we look at the collision here, we see that most of the pond is solid. So we can't actually walk to the middle of the pond from here, for example, because all of this is solid. But like you can see, we have a small column here with null tiles, which means if we walk south from this guy, then we can walk to the center of the pond. So we can walk here, and then we can get to the center. But how did I refill my health? I mean, there's nothing special with the tile in here. And I can't see anything here. So what's going on? Well, again, it's really simple. What I did was that, in fact, we can't see it, but there's a pickup object right here in the middle of the pond. So what pickup object is that? Well, it's this one called Full Health Restore. This is something really simple. It's just a pickup object that has that's invisible. So I'm just using a blank tile for this pickup object. And of course it needs to have a bounding box because the player needs to collide with it. But the graphics is blank, so this is invisible. And it's a pickup object. But again, like we talked about, that's not enough to make something happen. So we need to write a little bit of code here in the pickup script. So what pickup object is this one? Well, it's the last one here, so which means 15. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so this is number 15. Which means that here in my pickup script, in this case I wrote it in hexadecimal, I just wrote an F, but I could have written, instead of $0F, I could have written 15 instead. So game object 15. Is it game object 15? If it's not, we go down here. But if it is, if we are colliding with game object 15, we say load my max health, store that in my health. Which, if you have set things up correctly, that should give you max health. Alright, then we update the HUD element so the HUD is updated with full health. And we just play a sound. So really simple thing. So that's how I get full health or get healed when I go to the center of the pond here. And we already saw that if this screen is triggered, then there's a chocolate bunny there instead. Right. So nothing special down here. Let's see. So really nothing special here either. This little thing here, those berries, those are just a very simple pickup object that just gives you 1 unit of health. So nothing special. What about this owl? Well, again, it's an NPC, and you probably saw that he moved a little bit, or he didn't move so much around, but he turned around and looked in different directions. So how do we do that? Well, let's look at the owl here. So what's his action? What's he doing? Well, he's moving random. He's set up to move random for 3 time units. When that's done, then he repeats that action. So he is just moving randomly around. But he's not moving. He's just turning around. How do we do that? Again, it's really simple. If his movement is set to move random, the trick is to just don't give him any speed. Normal max speed 0, acceleration speed 0. So he's set up to move in random directions, but he doesn't have any speed, which means that he's just turning around like that. So again, it's just a little simple trick like that. And of course, since he's an NPC, we can talk to him. Again, we're using this little trick with the crack in the wall here. And then we have this screen, which when it's triggered, we get this little snowman here instead. And once again, it's just an NPC that we can talk to. So, yeah. Other than that, I don't think there's really anything special. Finally, we have this screen that's empty by default, but when it's triggered, we get our little bunny here. So the last thing we need to talk about is that when I talked to this guy, and when he was finished talking, bam, I warped to a different screen, the ending screen. How did that happen? Well, that's actually a simple trick that Dale Coop gave us a few years ago, I think, which is it's a post on the NESmaker forum, and I'm gonna link that to that forum post in the description. It's really simple to set up, so we don't need to do that right now. But basically what that means is that you can write some text. Let's see if we can find Easter Bunny 2. So when he's done doing this, you select end of action text to open shop. That's how Dale Coop set this up. So if you have end of text open shop, then it's not going to open shop, but it's going to warp you to whatever screen you have set up for the warp. In this case, it was warp out 1514. So that's this one down here. So basically end of text warp. Like I said, I'm gonna link that in the description. So another thing, when I started planning this episode, I thought that, okay, let's make this game together. But it turned out to be too complex, too time consuming. So instead of making it more or less from scratch together, I thought I would just explain it like I've done now. But if you want to play around with the assets, you want to make your own Easter game, I do have the assets for this game, so you can download them from my website, and I will leave a link for that in the description as well. But yeah, that's it for this Easter egg episode. So I hope you have a nice Easter, and that you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.